Today's episode of The Bitcoin Show is brought to you by usgoldcoins.com, 1-800-HOT-COIN, and Meze Grill, M-E-Z-E Grill.com, and TradeHill.com, and Mt. Gox, MTGOX.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bitcoin Show, episode number 29. I'm Bruce Wagner.
This is Manny Mena.
And today we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know how we're going to get it all in, but it seems like twice a day we have breaking news here in the Bitcoin world, things that happen in Bitcoin time. I used to call it internet speed, but it's really like Bitcoin speed. It's so crazy. Today, our special guest is Keyur Mithawala from campbx.com. Did I pronounce it right?
You did, Bruce.
Okay, great. Welcome. It's Keyur.
Keyur, yes.
Keyur. Okay. It's not spelled like English phonetics. Keyur. Got it. So from campbx.com. Now, CampBX is a relatively new exchange site based in the U.S. in Atlanta. And we're kind of doing Bitcoin, Atlanta Bitcoin Week, because we've got a few guests from Atlanta startups on this week. We'll have another one tomorrow, which is interesting, from bit-pay.com, right? bit-pay.com.
Yes.
So
only from BitPay.
Yeah, BitPay, bit-pay, because there's another thing called BitPay. Well, that's an Android app, but it's not related, I guess. But anyway, bit-pay, I'll say. And but CampBX, you just launched, right? When was that?
We did. Today is our 3rd week anniversary.
Wow.
Believe it or not, Bruce, when we were preparing for the show, we just crossed 1,000 users threshold.
1,000 users. Yes. Wow, that's pretty fast.
Come on your show more often.
We should what?
We should come on your show more often.
Every day. We do it every day. You're welcome. Absolutely. You can come and just sit down right here. You know, you're actually going to be here because I'll remind a shameless plug for the, as you guys know all about it, the Bitcoin Conference and World Expo NYC 2011 in NYC is coming up August 19, 20, and 21. We're also going to have, if you're coming early, we're going to have a little bit of pre-conference fun on Thursday, August 18. Then the conference will start Friday, August 19th. Saturday is the big day, August 20th. And then half a day pretty much of formal stuff on Sunday, the 21st. And then we'll have post-conference festivities on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. It's going to be a blast. So later today, actually, within a few hours today, we'll have it all up there on bitcoinconference.com. bitcoinconference.com, all the details. So you want to be sure and register. And we're going to announce, actually, we may as well go ahead and announce that Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. This Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, which is Friday, July 29, at 10 a.m. Eastern time is when the actual tickets will go on sale, and you can buy them with Bitcoin. So you've got 3 days to buy some Bitcoins. If you need to buy some and you don't have any Bitcoins, just call us and we'll arrange it. But we want to, of course, we're not taking PayPal. We do not take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, not even Dwolla. We only take Bitcoin.
And it is important to state that the seating is limited.
Yeah, that's right. The seating is limited. We're only reserving 50 spots. So you want to be sure to get there 10 a.m. Eastern time to bitcoinconference.com and buy your admission and also your vendor booth space, or table space, really. It's Manhattan, so it's not a booth. It's a little table. But anyway, it's going to be kind of small space, but it'll be very cozy, and oh my God, it's going to be fun. People are flying from China, from Central South America, Australia. I heard some rumors somebody's chartering a private jet to fly here. It's going to be really, really fun. Amazing. A lot of companies saving their announcements and their products, technologies, and demonstrations for this conference. And also rumors of major media like Al Jazeera English, more than rumors. They told me Al Jazeera English wants to be here, and CNN International and so on. They're going to, they have talked about coming. And so I think there'll be a lot of major media coverage here.
And I think it'd be really pivotal to the Bitcoin community just to get a congregation going on, some discussion going on between different vendors and services, and help, push some, hopefully revolutionary Bitcoin products and services that can make it more ubiquitous.
Innovation, brainstorming, nothing happens better than when you put brains together. And when with all these like-minded people, not only are they like-minded philosophically and technologically, and even politically, whatever, they put all their heads together, and everybody's going to see each other's ideas and go, wow, we could take that, and what could we do if we put our heads together? It's going to be really exciting stuff. So make sure you get there. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Friday morning, bitcoinconference.com, and buy your tickets. And we'll see. If we sell out like mad really fast, then we'll start a waiting list. And if we have to, we'll move it to a larger venue. I mean, we've got a backup plan. So, if we...
I think you have at least 4 people flying in from Atlanta.
At least 4 people? Okay, there we go. We just sold the first 4. So but you got to be there at 10 a.m. on Friday. We won't block you out.
Banner ready for the Bitcoin World Conference. We are just waiting for you to announce, so we put up the banner.
Yes.
On our website.
Yeah, we won't lock you out. I promise. Somehow, we'll get you guys in if we have to bring you in the back door through the catering entrance. We're going to get you in. But it's actually right now the venue is only One TV Studios. We have the whole 5th floor at 290 Fifth Avenue, and this is where we're at. So right now, this is the venue. I mean, hotels in Manhattan are crazy and small. Most of the hotels don't have a meeting space, or if they do, they only have a maximum of 16 people or something absurd like that. We have some big studios, so we're going to rearrange things and make a few rooms off limits, but we're going to convert conference rooms and our main big studio 1, which you guys don't normally see because this is a smaller one, and we're going to convert it basically into a convention center. We'll see how that works. But if we run into a massive number of people wanting to come, like twice as many as we expect, we will probably have to move it to a larger venue. But we can do that. So just get there, buy your tickets, and if it is sold out, make sure you send us an email. Like if you get blocked out because we're sold out, send us an email at registration at bitcoinme.com.
Is it registration or register?
Register, whatever it is. Go to bitcoinconference.com and the email address will be there. And make sure you send us an email so that you get on a waiting list. And that way we'll have an idea of how many people really want to come. And we're also trying to make the admission very, very affordable. You'll see all the details will be up there soon.
It's
today.
Register. Register at bitcoinconference.com.
There you go. But obviously, you only have to do that if you weren't able to get in the first 50 that are sold. All right. So back to Keyur. I can't even say your name right. Keyur?
At the end of the show, you will.
I will. I'll get it. It takes me 7 times, and I'll get your name. So is it Keyur?
Yes, it is.
Got that? Keyur. Remind me. Okay. So tell us about Camp BX. What does BX mean? Is that like barracks?
Bitcoin Crossroads.
Oh, Bitcoin.
That's what we were aiming for. The camp word comes from the feeling of brotherhood.
Okay.
We had a vision of a camp at the Bitcoin Crossroads where people get together, exchange their regular currencies for Bitcoin, and enter a new world. Okay,
Bitcoin Crossroads, or Bitcoin Exchange, obviously. It stands for X, too. So, all right, cool. So it's been 3 weeks. How is it going? What's your, you got 1,000 members now.
Yes.
How's the volume? Is there volume happening yet?
The volume is picking up too, Bruce. We believe that there is a tipping point somewhere around 2,000 users.
Around 2,000,
yeah. 3,000 users, that's when the activity really picks up.
Yeah. Yeah, because they can be users, but...
volume when Bitcoin prices fluctuate more.
Right,
but when the prices are stable, the volume, of course, tends to be low for everyone.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, now, one of the things that... well, there's so much going on. I don't know where to begin. I mean, I think probably we should talk about what's breaking first, and then I want to get into some more details about Camp BX. One of the thing that we broke yesterday in the last episode of the Bitcoin Show, which was, what, 28, is this Dwala crisis, I guess we could call it, in that Trade Hill Bloomberg.com has detected transactions being reversed and actual statements, like they're basically a bank statement. It's a Dwala statement that a merchant would get. It's like a bank statement actually retroactively being changed. They're online statements, so if you don't print them and then actually study them and compare the old ones to the new ones, you would never even know. And so, which kind of explains why it took so long for people to notice, because if you go to the online statement and you assume that it's stagnant, you know, they tell you. If you ask them, they were told, TradeHill was told that no, statements can't change, no, transactions can't reverse. And meanwhile, the transactions they claim are changing. The transactions are reversing and the statements are changing. Now this is TradeHill saying that approximately $40,000 worth of transactions have been lost because of these transactions that were cleared, and they got an email saying they were cleared, and it says on the statement they were cleared, then days later they are uncleared. Now this just came in. We just got notification of this from Magical Tux is his handle, which is Mark, who owns Mt. Gox. Now, originally, you know, as soon as this happened, I got a hold of Mark, and he said, no, we're not affected. Let me check. He checked again. Nope, we're not affected. Over 20,000 transactions from Dwala, not affected. The thing is, I fear that what I feared at that moment was that he was checking his statement and his balance, and they matched. And that's a problem, because the statement may have been changed, and he's looking at the new statement. And this is why a merchant would never notice.
So if they take something out from the statement, they're also going to take it out from your balance.
Yeah, of course. But I hope that this was just a total oversight or error or system software error on Dwala's part, and this was not intentional. We'll hope that this was not intentional, because if this is intentional, this is really, really fraudulent, in my opinion, from the merchant's perspective, to modify a statement that's already happened when you tell people that that can't happen, and to reverse transactions when you're told as a merchant that they cannot be reversed. And as you heard on yesterday's episode 28, I called and I said, I'm a merchant. If I'm a merchant,
yes,
can transactions be, that are cleared be reversed? He said, no, absolutely not. And then he goes, well, unless the bank reports an NSF. I'm like, oh, well, okay. So if aside from an NSF, once it's clear, obviously, if there's an NSF, it's not cleared. But if it's cleared, aside from an NSF condition, once it's cleared, they can't be reversed. Is that right? He says, right, they cannot be reversed. And then later he goes on to backpedal and backpedal. I think he recognized my voice, which explains why I got an email 3 minutes later when I hadn't even told him my name. That he had just talked to the COO within 3 minutes after I hung up with him, and I got an email when I hadn't even told him my name. All right, so whatever. That is what it is. Now, this just in, basically, Mark Carpelis, who's the owner of Mt. Gox, as you guys know, was saying, this is from the IRC chat room, the Bitcoin IRC chat room. He's saying, someone was asking him any comments on the Dwala issues some other exchanges are having. And he says, so far no problems here. I'm not sure this log speaks exactly of the same problem. Let's see, there has been almost no occurrence, and we have detected those. But he goes on to say, I see 3 points why Dwala is at fault, and he mentions false advertising about the lack of chargebacks, number one, saying that there are no chargebacks. Of course, now they've modified their help system and their FAQ and their blogs and things, like retroactively going back and changing them as if they were never there. The internet doesn't forget, people. Don't lie, because you're going to get busted on the internet. The internet doesn't forget. You can't lie on the internet. You just can't. You're going to get busted. All right, so not that they're lying, but anyway, they're changing their policies quickly, which is understandable. But they advertise that there can't be chargebacks, and they must have known. Of course there can be chargebacks if they're using ACH. All right, anyway, no communication with the merchant when a transaction is reversed. What is that about? I mean, this is Mark from Mt. Gox saying that this is another thing. It's very disturbing to him, even though he checked his balances and everything's okay, that this claim that there's no communication with the merchant when a transaction is reversed, absolutely inappropriate, right? And then, he's saying not communicating with the merchant prevents the merchant from taking appropriate actions with law enforcement, etc. Because if these are fraudulent account holders and you don't even tell the merchant, then they're going to continue. They're going to continue doing this. So they put in money and they say it cleared, and then they just, oops, just erase it, you know, pretend like nobody saw that. You didn't see that, did you? And then the fraud continues and continues and continues. Like Dwolla is actually like aiding and abetting the fraud if they don't tell the merchant that it happened. They reverse the transaction and say, shh, this is our little secret, don't tell the merchant. You know, that's not cool, because then it makes the fraud grow exponentially. These fraudsters will only do it more, obviously. Now, TradeHill caught this with their software that they created to compare, you know, statement with statement, and they caught it, luckily, but they're still like $40,000 down. I can't imagine. All right. So now, Mark at Mt. Gox says, no, as far as he's concerned, he checked. Everything's good. I mean, he checked, like, it only took him moments, so I don't know how much checking he possibly did in those moments, but he must, I'm assuming, he must have just been checking.
If I can jump in real quick.
Yes.
You know, what happened with TradeHill, it's very unfortunate. $37,000 is not a small amount for any new company. But
right.
I'm surprised that they caught it so late. Because
so late? Yeah.
What you do essentially at the end of the day, no matter what business you enter, if you're a Bitcoin business, if you're a cash register business, is you run a tally. How much you have in the bank account, how much you have in the database.
Right.
And running this tally is very quick and very easy. So we have built in a report that comes in at the end of the day. And it shows you if the tally matches up. If there were any reversals, you would have the Dwolla balance go down, but your database balance will show you a little bit higher amount. And when you see that happen, you know that there was some reversals.
Right. Well, now TradeHill,
you know, we have processed over a few hundred Dwolla transfers, but we have not seen any of the reversals in our daily tally. And I think that's what Mark Karpelis at Mt. Gox might have done the same thing. He might have run a tally. So if you find a discrepancy, of course, you have to dig deeper. But running a tally, it's a very quick and easy process.
Well, now TradeHill said that they actually were doing that, and they did catch it. They caught it early on, but they contacted Dwolla, and they said, no, everything is fine. And they basically put it back on them, and the mistake must be on you. And so TradeHill spent a lot of time trying to figure out what is wrong with their own internal auditing, that this mistake where's the mistake? I mean, they dug and dug and dug, and they couldn't find the mistake until finally it occurred to them that they should actually audit Dwolla, that the mistake wasn't on their side, that it was Dwolla's statements that were not correct. And so finally they actually developed software to audit Dwolla's statements over time, and that's how they caught it. Now, and actually, now that I understand how it happened, I mean, if you assume that your bank statement on your online banking is correct and they're not playing with the numbers, you're starting with that assumption, then you're not going to doubt what you see on the screen.
There is, Dwolla has an out here. The statement that TradeHill is using, these are the CSV files.
Right.
They are not the official monthly statement. They are provided as an additional service to the exchanges, but you are not supposed to base your transaction off of that. According to Dwolla, the official statement comes out at the end of the month, and that is the only valid statement that you should base your transactions on.
Right, but they
have technical out here, but I agree with you 100% that they have done an unethical thing by reversing the transactions without notifying the merchant.
Well, yeah, I mean,
as soon as you shed some light on it, Dwolla really woke up. I think you lit a fire under them. So I was able to get a hold of their support team yesterday at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And they responded to all my questions with an urgency.
Yeah. Oh, really? They responded to your questions at 11 p.m. with urgency.
We made a positive suggestion. We said, so far, we have a business plan. We are well capitalized. If we had any losses, we would have been easily able to absorb them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we don't have any losses.
You don't have any losses?
Sorry, no, absolutely not, Bruce. Not even a single dollar missing from day one to week 3.
But you did find some fraudulent people using Dwolla fraudulently.
Right, and that was the user hacking. We found some Dwolla accounts that were hacked by the users in probably Eastern European countries.
Right.
So we receive a deposit from Minneapolis, and when we do the verification on that deposit, turns out numbers are going to offshore phone numbers. There are IP addresses coming in from Czech Republic, Russia. So we were able to catch these incidents very early.
Okay, so you were doing a lot of exceptional verifying.
Right. So we have a rules engine built on top of that, which looks at your IP address, which looks at your amount of activity, which looks at how often you use the transactions, how quickly the transactions move from registration through buying, selling, and withdrawing.
Right.
And when you put all these together using simple statistical rules, you can flag the accounts which may be fraud. So we have a process in place to notify Dwolla. In fact, this morning we notified Dwolla about 3 accounts that may have been compromised. Okay. So they are investigating right now, and we are expecting an update any minute now.
Okay. Now this is the continuation of the story with Mt. Gox, just for everyone's information. So then Mark continues, or later. Actually, this is later in IRC. He says he's continuing the conversation. He says so. Someone says to him, so when you detect those, and it sounds like, unfortunately for you, there haven't been, or sounds like, fortunately for you, there haven't been many, you just eat the loss? And he says, yes, we do. So he has detected them. Okay. He says, some transactions just vanish. This is Mark from Mt. Gox saying this. Some transactions just vanish. So he's having the same experience. Now remember,
they're all using the same backend. They're using the CSV file download, which is a web service available from Dwolla.
Yeah.
So as long as you are using this avenue to process your transactions, you will have this error.
Well, the thing is that is, I mean, they can say it's not their official statement, but I'm sorry, it is their official statement. If you give me a statement and it comes from you, it is your official statement. And also, Dwolla said, told them over the phone that if you receive an email from us confirming that the transaction is cleared, then that's absolutely official. And you can see from the presentation we did in the last episode, there's the email. There's the email confirming this transaction has cleared, and it matches the CSV. The CSV is exactly in coordination with the email. So what they're doing is they're absolutely clearing it on their official statement, their email, their CSV, and all that. Now, you know, that's official. I'm sorry, that's official. I don't care what you say. I mean, then don't give it to me if it's not accurate. That's nonsense. That's a nonsense, bogus excuse, in my opinion. If you give me a transaction email and you give me the matching spreadsheet and a CSV, and then you tell me that's not official, that's nonsense. They told them they can rely on that.
You know, the reality of the business is going to be ACH network allows rollback.
Exactly.
So if it's a small amount, Dwolla will absorb it, but simply from a business continuation standpoint, they have to pass some of the rollbacks on to their customers.
Yeah, that's fine, but not when you deceive the customers. When you tell merchants there's no such thing as a chargeback. When you tell merchants once it's cleared, then you are being disingenuous. That is that's consumer fraud, I think, under the definitions of consumer fraud. That is called consumer fraud, and isn't that a felony? I mean, that's serious. That's really, really serious.
They should at least notify that something happened.
And then without even notifying you, reversing the transactions without saying a word. They talk about an arbitration system that they have in place. How about not communicate it? Don't tell anybody, just change the numbers, fudge last month's numbers. No, that's not okay. All right, so then Mark continues, some transactions just vanish. This is Mt. Gox. And remember, you know, if you were to assume, I don't know that this is true, but if you were to assume, you know, Trade Hill says 2.5% of their transactions last month were reversed like this, were disappeared. And if that same percentage applied to the volume Mt. Gox is doing, we're talking about $500,000 of disappeared money. Who's going to eat that cost?
About $100 million a year, so
yeah,
even 1.5% of that, that's a lot of amount.
I mean, Dwolla, like I said yesterday, Dwolla has only 3 customers. Their biggest customer, which is the majority of their business, from what I hear, is Mt. Gox. Their second largest customer, which is pretty much the rest of their business, is Trade Hill. And then everybody else is a tiny little fraction. Basically, Dwolla is Bitcoin. Dwolla is Mt. It's kind of like, you know, like they say about Walmart, you know, Walmart is China. I mean, it's like everything comes from China. It's like that. I mean, Dwolla is Mt. Gox and Trade Hill. You put Mt. Gox and Trade Hill to combine, and that pretty much is Dwolla's business. So, and they don't want to be associated with Bitcoin, nothing to do with Bitcoin. But meanwhile, they are a Bitcoin. They're actually a central point of failure in the Bitcoin system that we have presently. So that's why it's so relevant to the Bitcoin world. But it's I mean, there's so many things that are not right. I mean, to tell people that transactions cannot be reversed, and then to actually reverse statements that have already happened, and then not communicate anything to the merchant. What is that? I mean, PayPal doesn't even do that, and it's crazy. Okay, then let's see, Mark. I want to continue this. Mark says some transactions just vanish. I send them an email about that. He sent them an email about that. All right. So basically, Mark is saying, yes, it is happening. And it is happening at Mt. Gox too. And I bet you he's really busy checking that out right now because we're talking about a lot of money. You know, I also want everybody to know that I did contact, you know, the CEO of Mithawala, and I asked him to be on the show actually repeatedly. And I got a nice letter, you know, saying declining to be interviewed. So, you know, and Trade Hill, you know, everybody loves Mithawala as a service, as a technology. It's a great thing. But you know, it's all about trust because you're talking about money. You're talking about, you know, as I say, OPM, other people's money. And when you're messing with other people's money, man, you do not mess with that. And it has to be, you have to have the utmost transparency and honesty and communication above all else. Even when you screw up, even when you make a mistake or the computer makes a mistake, you have to be honest and you have to communicate that. You don't hide behind a phone and say, no, he's not available for weeks at a time to your largest customer that has, you know, $500,000 at stake or whatever the thing is. I mean, that's just not cool. It's absolutely not cool. I don't care if you do say you're the dumbest man in the room.
You know, not taking Mithawala's side at all. Yesterday I was one of the audience when you were making this news live, and it came as a shock to me. And Mithawala is definitely messed up here, but we have a commitment from them that by the end of the week they're going to make it right.
I hope so. I mean, I only wish the best for them.
The 3 steps that we were talking about before the show is that the rollbacks are not going to completely disappear. What needs to happen is that there needs to be a process around rollbacks. So any Mithawala customers like CampEX, Trade Hill, or Mt. Gox, we can manage our risk.
Right.
You know, if there is a process, you can manage the process, you can manage the risk.
Yeah.
So the recommendations that we put in front of Mithawala are, number 1, the vendor must be notified. Ignorance and hoping that this will slide by, it is not an answer. You have to have a vendor notification, and you have to have a mediation process that is agreed upon by all of the parties involved in the dispute.
Right. And I mean, the thing is that if you
right, so.
Oh, sorry.
Has agreed to it, and by the end of the week, they are going to update their process documentation. They're also going to send us some additional information about how the rollbacks are going to happen, how are they going to be mediated, and what is going to be covered by.
Right. I mean, the thing is, if you guys in the exchange industry, if you wanted to take all this chargeback liability, then you would just accept MasterCard, Visa, and PayPal, and you wouldn't need Mithawala in the first place. But when you're promised that there's no such thing as a chargeback, you're basing your business around that. So it's just not honest. It's just not honest to say that there's no chargebacks and then, oh, yeah, there are. Oh, we updated our FAQ today. Okay, but what about last week, last month? You know, that's not okay. You can't just pretend it didn't happen and rewrite history. You've got to stand up, be a man, and face the music.
You know, no matter what business you have, chargebacks have to be a part of the business plan.
Unless you're dealing with cash, yeah.
There is retail that anywhere from 3 to 5%. So you build that into the business plan for retail operations.
Right.
So CampEX has done the same thing. Our threshold is about 1%. We can take 1% chargebacks and keep rolling without a problem.
But
if there are more chargebacks in a month, we can absorb them for a short period, but it's not sustainable in the long term.
Right. I mean, what are the fees, by the way?
You will have to build your business plan.
Now that we're talking about
threshold of what chargeback you are going to accept and what you are not going to accept.
Right. So, so speaking of CampEX, because obviously you are CampEX, what I mean, am I misunderstanding something? Like, if your fees, like what are the exchange fees that CampEX charges?
Sure. The CampEX exchange fees are 0.055% per trade.
Okay, so explain to me how you can accept a 1% chargeback if your fees are less than 1%.
And that comes out from the volume. When you are doing certain amount of volume, you keep in mind that you charge the fees both sides of the
Right.
Right. There is a buy transaction. There is also a sell transaction, and we'll have a very thin margin to live with, but we can rolling with percent charge.
Okay, yeah, and okay, I understand. And the exchanges are happening even when they're not withdrawing the money.
A second parameter to that, wallet transfer is one time.
Right.
If you transfer $1,000 into your account, that is $1,000 of risk for us.
Right.
But once with the $1,000, you are going to cycle it multiple times. You are going to trade it 3 times, 5 times your initial capital.
Yeah.
You're going to buy for $1,000, you're going to sell for $1,000, and you are going to keep churning.
Yeah.
So the profits generated on $1,000 of capital, they're more than the percentage that charges part.
Right. And there's no chargeback risk when you're allowing them to withdraw via Dwolla, obviously. There's only a risk when they're uploading, when they're depositing money via Dwolla, so that makes sense. Exactly. Okay. So
cycling gives you more profit than what you made on.
I mean, is Dwolla the only way to fund your account at Camp BX right now?
Yes, it is the only way at present. We are working on additional ways to bring in SEPA payment for Europe, and we are also in talks with PayPal to use the digital service.
Wow. Okay, why don't you allow regular bank wire transfers?
Because wire transfers are hard to regulate from a compliance standpoint. When your wire transfer come in, there is no way you can refuse the transaction without incurring a penalty on your side. So our compliance program is built around the automated transaction gateways or payment processing gateways. Every time a Dwolla payment comes in, there are some rules that are applied to incoming traffic if we are not reaching any of the rules and regulations. This is not a concern for offshore companies like TradeMill or Concom because they don't fall inside the regulation. But for us, this is a top priority.
So you can stop
any money from any company that is not based in the United States, and that's why we don't accept Liberty Reserve, because that company is based, I believe, in Costa Rica. All of our payment processors have to be based in the United States, and they have to have a documented process that we can use for managing compliance.
Okay, so you're saying with Dwolla, you can actually stop the payment from coming in if you want to?
Yes.
Okay, so that's interesting. That's based on an automatic filtering of some sort?
No, it is a manual process. You have to reach out to Dwolla right now, but they are working on putting in more automation in place. Okay,
all right. So that's interesting. So that you have that control with Dwolla or PayPal or something, but you don't have that with a bank wire. But I mean, with a bank wire, it's still tied to the person sending it. But you're saying you don't have a know your customer.
You know, reversing a bank wire payment is much more documentation intensive than bulk. You have to go to your bank. You have to talk to them. You know, you fill out the form to send out the return transfer. Versus Dwolla, it's just a quick form.
Now, what about MasterCard and Visa? Because like if you're gonna tolerate chargebacks within a certain range, why not just accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express?
Yes, so that's something we are looking into right now.
Really?
But I think that is the next step in making Bitcoin more legitimate. As long as we are using offshore payment mechanisms like Liberty Reserve, it's always going to be seen as sort of fringe move. The more we want to move into the center of the economy, we have to accept credit cards and traditional avenues of payment like PayPal. Okay, so if you have if you accept credit cards, you're going to have a tremendous chargeback liability for up to 6 months. People can buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin and reverse $10,000 of payments 5 months and 3 weeks later and say, screw you. I used American Express. And there are processes around that. So if you are doing one-off credit card transactions, of course, it's very difficult to manage and put a process together. But when you have hundreds of transactions coming through, you can have specialized software that scans for fraud, that scans for unusual activity on credit card accounts. And if you have a relationship with the payment processor, they tend to rule in the favor of the vendor rather than in favor of the customer. Really? That hasn't been my experience. I've had a relationship with credit card processing. If you are processing anywhere more than 300 to 500 transactions with a small payment processor. They are going to take your business as a very legitimate business. That if you are dealing with 500 customers and you have 0 complaints so far, suddenly 3 complaints pop up. They are not going to rule by default against you. They are going to look into this very seriously.
Okay, I've had experience with some of them where, like American Express Platinum, and I was told flat out by American Express that they always side on the side of the card holder. If it's a platinum card, it doesn't matter what documentation. I could have their fingerprint and a blood sample and a contract and notarized. It doesn't matter. If it's a platinum card holder, they side on the side of the card holder. It doesn't matter the circumstances. I mean, that's what I was told. So, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. And what about
PayPal is different. PayPal has a policy of siding towards the vendor.
Yeah, yeah. And
in my previous experiences with PayPal, whenever there were a discrepancy, if you can prove that there was a transfer, there was a valid transaction, which included some physical proof, like mailing a receipt to the customer, PayPal will rule in favor of the vendor.
Okay. Now, let's see. What about there have been merchants who've tried to set up operations where they're just literally just flat out selling Bitcoins for MasterCard and Visa, and MasterCard, Visa International, or their merchant processor or their bank, whatever, has pulled their account and just shut them down because they didn't want to be associated with, whatever, virtual currency or whatever. So, I mean, is that up to MasterCard, Visa International, or your bank, or your processing company? Who makes that decision, and what do you do when they yank your account?
Right. So this is an agreement you need to have with them before you start your business. And that's the step we are at right now. I'm sure you have experienced this all the time. When you tell someone new about Bitcoins, they Google it. And the first news that pops up is Chuck Schumer, Chris Dodd.
The first thing that comes up is what?
The first news that pops up is Chuck Schumer and Chris Dodd trying to ban Bitcoin for Silk Road.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
Schumer,
there's a public perception issue, but when we go in, engage with the vendor and show them that we have the right permissions in place, we're a legitimate business in Georgia, not offshore. They are willing to talk to us, and they're willing to take this very seriously.
Right. So I'm hoping the public understands that these are just clowns trying to get publicity. And they really need to ban the green paper coming from the private corporation called the Federal Reserve. If they want to bust, crime and drugs, they really need to crack down on those green pieces of paper and take that away from the people and see if the people stand up against that.
One is the thing, Bruce. If you think about it, Bitcoin payments are not the problem. You know how Silk Road ships the drugs? Ship them to USPS.
Right. They use the government postal system. Yeah. Exactly.
Like a US
ban that.
More than the payment issue. Doesn't matter how you pay. If you can stop the shipment, if you can track the source of it, that is your issue.
Yeah. They need to ban postal mail. They need to ban the post offices. They need to ban cash, cars, and phones, especially cell phones. Yeah, they need to ban trucks, cars, everything. I know, it's just absurd. Like, let's just ban the internet. It's so silly. I mean, I hope that the public is smarter than that. I really do give the public credit that they see these people like Schumer, and he's just a clown. He just doesn't have the big shoes and the red nose, but he's an absolute clown. I mean, I hope that people can see that. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin or technology. It has to do with it has to do with donations to your political campaign, more than anything else. So. All right, so back to CatBX. I have some questions because you're going to specialize you're in the United States, and you're going to be super compliant, and you're also going to get into options trading, right?
That is correct.
So I've got questions about that because especially when you talk about United States, compliance, and options trading, you put those three together, and I actually asked some of our audience to send us some questions, which I want to get to in 1 second, but this is actually a really good time to thank the people who are bringing us to you. So let's take a quick break, and I want to thank usgoldcoins.com. If you want to diversify your investments and not put all your Bitcoins into one big Bitcoin wallet, you want to diversify, think about the second best, maybe, or it could be the first. It depends on your opinion. But that is Rare, as otherwise known as numismatic gold and silver coins. usgoldcoins.com, 1-800-HOT-COIN is their number, is actually Andy Gauss. Andy Gauss is my monetary guru. He knows everything about money. In my opinion, he is the world-renowned expert, and he's actually going to be hosting The Real World of Money here on Only One TV, Wednesday mornings, 10 a.m. But not only that, he's a sponsor, but not only that, he's a friend. We actually began our relationship with him by listening to his show. He's got a radio show every week, twice a week actually, and which is moving to Only One TV. But we were big fans, and we became customers, and we became friends, and I absolutely vouch for his integrity. He's not like these, cash for gold nonsense. This is the real thing. You call his number and ask for Andy, and you got Andy. You can ask him about your mortgage. I mean, he's an absolute expert. But call him up and thank him for sponsoring the Bitcoin Show and bringing us to you every day, every day, 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and all the other languages and other shows on Only One TV. But it's usgoldcoins.com. If you happen to be in the U.S., it's easy to call 1-800-HOT-COIN. How can you forget that? 1-800-HOT-COIN. Call him up and thank him for sponsoring the show. And Meze Grill, Meze Grill.com. Obviously, everybody knows that Meze Grill's claim to fame is they're the world's first brick-and-mortar restaurant to accept Bitcoin. They also have other things like authentic Mediterranean food that has excellent flavor. It's our favorite restaurant, one of our favorite restaurants, and that's how we actually met Marwan, who owns Meze Grill. And they're serving breakfast now. If you're in New York City or you're passing through New York City, it's just a couple blocks south of Columbus Circle, and this is as good a time as any to make this little announcement about Meze Grill. Meze Grill has announced that they are going to be selling Bitcoin at the retail level. You'll be able to walk into Meze Grill and buy and sell Bitcoin. So I just talked with Marwan yesterday, and he's agreed to do this. So that's coming any minute. We're going to be able to do that. So he's going to be able to do that. So you'll be able to literally walk into a brick and mortar store, retail outlet, and maybe, I don't know if this is the first in the world, but probably the first in New York, where you have a known location, address, and hours. You can go there anytime that they're open, which is obviously long days and long hours, 7 days a week. They're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you can buy Bitcoin, and you can sell Bitcoin too. So basically, for a small percentage fee, but at the last price, market price, very fair. So Meze Grill, not only the world's first restaurant to accept Bitcoins, but maybe the world's first brick and mortar retail outlet that you can buy and sell Bitcoins in person for cash. All right, and thank them for sponsoring, as well as Trade Hill. Obviously, Trade Hill is the exchange site that makes it really easy to buy Bitcoin without even going to Meze Grill, without even going out of your house. You can just get online, and there are many ways to buy and sell Bitcoin on the online exchange, tradehill.com. Obviously, you can use our referral code TH-R141 and get 10% off of your trade fees for life. They have the euro now, and they have, they're introducing currencies, and they're introducing more and more ways to get money in and out of Trade Hill. We know them well. These are all our pals. We all talk to them every day. We all know them. And Mt. Gox, obviously, mtgox.com. They're the market leader. Who doesn't know? Anybody, if you know Bitcoin, you know Mt. Gox. They have the vast majority of the market share in the online exchange. They also have two-factor authentication as well. And they now take the euro, the British sterling, British pound, Australian dollars, Canadian dollars coming any day. And they have, they're continuing their 0.3% fees through August 9th. So they've got a little bit more time to cash in on those low trade fees. We thank Mt. Gox. So thank all of our sponsors. Please just email them and say, thanks for sponsoring the Bitcoin Show. You don't even have to do business with them. Just thank them for sponsoring the Bitcoin Show. Let them know that you appreciate what they're doing. So, all right.
And then getting into what CampBX is doing, just for those that don't understand, because options actually comes from a pretty advanced portion of the financial sector, which most people who even do options don't really know that underlying variables are involved with that. So just very quick, 30 seconds. Basically what an option is in terms of finance, it's a derivative financial instrument that sort of specifies a contract in the future between two parties. And it's basically saying, I give you the option to buy something a month from now at a set price. Basically, it's not an obligation, it's just an option to do that. So you're paying a premium for an option, and just in case you don't know what a derivative is, that increases the complexity a little bit, because basically a derivative in the terms of a financial instrument is that basically there's some underlying variables that's going to affect what the price is. And this could be anything from a tradable asset or even a non-tradable asset, like temperature, which is a case of like weather derivatives, or the unemployment rate. So it involves a couple of, advanced financial, options, or I don't know how to explain it, but it's a little more on the advanced side, but it's pretty interesting because a lot of people are excited about this, especially people in Wall Street.
Right. So basically the idea is, just to sum up what you said, derivatives are absolutely anything. You can say derivative of the number of leaves that are going to fall before this. You can a derivative is just anything you make up, and it's a number that can be measured. It's just a number that can be measured, and you can basically buy and sell based on some number. Options is very specific, and that is, like you said, actually options is just like what it sounds like. It's an option to buy something or sell something at a certain price in the future. So you're actually buying the option to do that. So yeah, that's
there's also calls, which is which is a call is like to buy if you want to buy something in the future, and a put is if you want to sell in the future.
Right.
So you could go both ways about it.
Two types of options. Okay, so now that we got the basics covered, so with the audience, that's good. The audience knows what these are. Now I've got some questions that have come in, because we asked the audience to send us.
Before we jump into options, Bruce.
Yes?
Options is something we don't have available right now.
Okay.
What we offer is margin trading. Margin trading is different than options. It gives you a leverage on the current price of Bitcoin. So you put up 50%, you put up the other 50%, and you can make a trade, margin trade, or a short sale based off of that.
Okay, so margin trading is where you're basically borrowing money to buy Bitcoins. So you're going to actually, so you're actually extending a loan.
Or you're borrowing Bitcoins to sell and short sell.
So it's basically a margin is sort of like a collateral that the holder of, which would be Camp BX, they're going to deposit to cover some of the risk that's inherent with Bitcoins. If I'm assuming correct, you're going to cover some of the risk using collateral, and this will allow you to short sell Bitcoins if it looks good.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you clearly.
Well, explain to us. Okay, when you say a margin, you're talking about. Let me just ask it in my layman's term, because I'm not a financial person. So if you're talking about, if I'm a customer of Camp BX, I have a certain amount of funds on deposit. So I can actually borrow more and then use that to buy Bitcoins or buy options?
So if you have $100, you can buy Bitcoins up to $200.
Okay, so that's the same thing as borrowing $100.
You can do the exact opposite and sell 200 Bitcoins.
Okay. So in my layman's terms, what you're saying is if I put up $100, I can borrow another $100, and basically you're going to be extending me credit.
Exactly.
Okay, and if I lose, and now if I somehow the market crashes or something and I lose everything, then I'm in debt to you.
No, you will not be. You will have a loss, but you will not be in debt.
Oh, because it'll be a wash. It'll automatically liquidate what I have, and then I'll have nothing.
So there is a margin call. In traditional stockbroker environment, what margin call means is that they send you a notification that you have to post more margin. It means you have to deposit more money to your margin.
Okay.
In the Bitcoin world, there is no credit. So what the margin call is going to mean is that you will receive two notifications that your trade is decreasing in value, the trade is going against you. For example, you will get a notification at 15% drop in the trade. You'll get a second notification at 20% in the trade value. And if you don't liquidate the trade at 25% drop, the algorithm will automatically go ahead, liquidate, split the money back to us and back to you, and you will essentially take a 25% drop in your initial investment.
Okay. We're getting a little bit of feedback. Maybe you can adjust your volume down just a little bit. I think it might be coming back on your end if you hear that little echo. But okay, I think I got it. So All right, let me ask you a few of these questions that viewers have submitted about these kinds of things, especially about compliance, because this is new. I mean, in the Bitcoin world, you know, it's kind of been the Wild West, and a lot of the entities are offshore. And so when we're talking about USA compliance, it's a whole new ballgame. So here are just some questions I want to throw at you. One was, is CampBX licensed as a money transmitter?
No. Bitcoin is not money, according to legal terms, as of now. So to transmit Bitcoin, you don't need a money service business license.
You don't. Okay.
When you're transmitting United States dollar, there is a threshold of $1,000. If you are below that threshold, you do not need to be licensed as a money service business. And that's what we have in place right now. One more thing we are working on is to get the money service business license. So we will be able to do more than $1,000 a day in transfers.
So if we're to understand correctly, as long as you're not allowing people to cash out more than $1,000 at a time, technically it wouldn't classify as a...
It includes both transfers. It includes deposit and withdrawal. You cannot deposit more than $1,000 a day. You cannot withdraw more than...
That's considered money transmittal. If I deposit more than 1,000 or I withdraw more than 1,000, that's more. Even if it's to my own account, it's still considered money transmittal.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. So I mean, well, let me ask this: does CampBX allow funds transferred from account to account, like U.S. dollar balances? Can I send U.S. dollars from my account on CampBX to Manny's account on CampBX?
No, you can't.
You can't. Okay. So, but if I deposit. Like, if I were to deposit $2,000 into my account and withdraw $2,000 from my account, would that be considered money transmittal?
You would not be allowed to deposit or withdraw $2,000. So our algorithm will stop you as soon as you reach $1,000. And after that, you will have to wait 24 hours before you can make any additional transfers.
Oh, okay, so it is a limit of $1,000 a day? Is that what you're saying?
And
okay.
It is hard-coded, so there's no way around it.
Okay.
You cannot transfer even 1 more cent on top of $1,000.
Okay, so now, and you're saying that the reason for that is because of this money transmittal issue. Because I mean, I don't understand how it's like. I guess you're saying that legally it is money transmittal, even though I'm putting it into my own account and withdrawing it from my own account. That's still considered
for us. We are transmitting the money for you from one point to other.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so did you speak with a lawyer, or do you guys have a legal team where they looked at case studies?
The first thing we did, before we start off with the business plan, first thing we did was reach out to Georgia Department of Banking and Finance and request policy clarification. We submitted an overview of what we are going to do with our business. And we asked them, what are the regulations and other policies that we need to follow to make sure business is legal in Georgia? So this issue went pretty high up because Bitcoin was new to Georgia Department of Banking and Finance. It went up a couple of supervisors before it got an answer. But we have written answers to them. We have the policy clarifications. And lawyers built a compliance program based on the policy clarification.
So can you repeat the last part that the coders built? What did the coders do? I'm sorry, you broke out for a little bit.
Compliance policy and the algorithms, they are all based on this clarification. Compliance is not something that you can slap on top of a business model. Your business, especially when you're dealing with business, the business, the way you do the transaction, it has to be built in a certain way that you're compliant from it.
We're not catching that. Maybe, can you turn your speakers down just a little bit, because I think we're getting some feedback and Skype is canceling out your audio.
I lost your video feed, so.
What was that?
I lost your video feed.
Yeah, no, we did that on purpose to give us more bandwidth. Skype is playing games again. Sometimes if the speakers are too loud, it'll give feedback, and that is Skype trying to cancel out that echo. And so just repeat that last part again, because I think Skype was canceling it out.
Sorry.
So,
once we received the clarification from Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, we gave it to our lawyer and worked with them to build a compliance program. That what rules and what business checks and balances we need to have in place to make sure they're compliant with all rules and regulations.
Okay, so you have a program in place?
This policy was also given to our technical teams who are actually doing the programming. to make sure that when you write the algorithms, when you draw up the architecture of the system, how different modules talk to each other, there are also some legal implications at the code level, believe it or not.
Okay, let me get through some of these questions because we're running out of time already.
Sure.
How do you calculate the initial margin requirements?
I'm not sure I understand it.
Well, like the margin requirements, for example, I mean, you give the example, if I have $100, then I can actually use $200 worth. Is it just a 2-to-1 ratio, or is there an actual formula that you use to calculate that?
It is a ratio.
Is it 2-to-1? Is that what the ratio is?
It's called leverage. It's 2:1 leverage.
So I'm sorry, where does that come from?
If you call it margin, Bruce, it's 50%.
50%.
If you call it leverage, it's going to be 2:1.
Oh, okay. So it is. It's 50% or 2-to-1. Okay.
And never mind, I forgot.
And will the let's see, this question: will mark-to-market margin requirements be the same as the initial margin? I don't even know what that means, but this is a question from the audience. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Okay.
The margin requirements are based on the value in time. So mark-to-market means you calculate the margin call at the beginning, and you enforce it, and that's what we are going to do. There is an initial price at the moment of purchase. Your $100, our $100, they combine into a $200 amount, and they go into a dedicated margin account. Now, this transaction is timestamped along with the initial price of the transaction. So every time we calculate a margin call, it is calculated from the original price.
Okay, and then how frequently will you mark to market?
And that's what mark to market is. When you, it means you set the value when the transaction is executed.
Okay, and then will that be updated automatically?
I mean, it's difficult to explain in one sentence. So I'll be happy to answer the question in more detail on our support forum. Support help desk system.
Yeah. Okay, and what's the protocol for liquidation of positions when a margin call can't be met?
Sorry, I could not hear you.
Oh, I was saying, what will be the protocol for liquidation of positions when a margin call cannot be met?
Right. The algorithm is smart enough to know how much of a trade size to allow based on the liquidity. If there is a drastic drop in market liquidity from the time when you open the account, from the time when you open the trade to the time when you liquidate the trade, we will have some of the loans.
Okay, and some more questions about compliance. Will a W-9 tax form be required?
W-9 tax form?
Right. Apparently that's a U.S. tax requirement, and also asking if like day trading profits declared to the IRS as income. Is that going to happen?
So when you are day trading Bitcoin, the income that you generate, it is technically a bartering income in the tax term.
Okay.
So any profit that you make on CampBX, you have to declare it on your IRS form as bartering or cited.
Okay, so just so I could repeat it so the audience could hear, basically any profit made from CampBX, or I suppose this extends to Bitcoin in general, has to be sort of identified on your tax forms as barter and trade.
Correct.
And will this be reported to the IRS by CampBX?
No, it is not. In the United States, it is the responsibility of the individual to make sure that tax forms are accurate.
Okay. And now what about tax withholding on foreign accounts, or those accounts without a social security number?
Sorry, couldn't hear you, Bruce.
Oh, the question was, what about tax withholding on foreign accounts, or those accounts without a social security number?
We do not allow foreign accounts right now.
Oh, okay. So it's only U.S.
We are United States only.
Okay, so there's no non-U.S. accounts. That takes care of that. And if IRS declarations are eventually required, how will you calculate cost basis for Bitcoins deposited on the exchange?
I'm not sure. I think this is something that we will have to run by our CPA. So
Okay.
we have engaged a CPA firm who are going to manage the taxes for us.
Okay, and then I got one
I'm
more.
sure they know all the answers.
Okay, all right, then one last question. This is, will the aggregate total of short positions be public data?
Aggregate total of short positions. That is something we are not considered publishing yet. The short positions, they will be visible to you. If you have a short position, you will know how much of short you have, of course, but we are not going to publish that to the public as of now.
Not publicly. Okay. Okay. And wow, I got in those questions. I can't believe it. We're just in the nick of time because we're at 59 minutes and 24 seconds. Well, I want to thank you, Keyur, for joining us. And Keyur Mithawala, I can't say it, but campbx.com. And welcome to the Bitcoin community and happy anniversary. Happy 3 weeks.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much for answering everything.
Yes, thanks so much. And we will see you same time tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, every day, Monday through Friday. Thanks for joining us on the Bitcoin Show.
Thank you.
Today's episode of the Bitcoin Show is brought to you by usgoldcoins.com, 1-800-HOT-COIN, and Meze Grill, M-E-Z-E Grill.com, and TradeHill.com, and Mt. Gox, MTGOX.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bitcoin Show, episode number 29. I'm Bruce Wagner.
This is Manny Mena.
And today we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know how we're going to get it all in, but it seems like twice a day we have breaking news here in the Bitcoin world, things that happen in Bitcoin time. I used to call it internet speed, but it's really like Bitcoin speed. It's so crazy. Today, our special guest is Keyur Mithawala from campbx.com. Did I pronounce it right?
You did, Bruce.
Okay, great. Welcome. It's Keyur.
Keyur, yes.
Keyur. Okay. It's not spelled like English phonetics. Keyur. Got it. So from CampBX are saving their announcements and their products, technologies, and demonstrations for this conference. And also rumors of major media like Al Jazeera English, more than rumors. They told me Al Jazeera English wants to be here, and CNN International and so on. They're going to, they have talked about coming. And so I think there'll be a lot of major media coverage here.
And I think it'd be really pivotal to the Bitcoin community just to get a congregation going on, some discussion going on between different vendors and services, and help, push some, hopefully revolutionary Bitcoin products and services that can make it more ubiquitous.
Innovation, brainstorming, nothing happens better than when you put brains together. And when with all these like-minded people, not only are they like-minded philosophically and technologically, and even politically, whatever, they put all their heads together, and everybody's going to see each other's ideas and go, wow, we could take that, and what could we do if we put our heads together? It's going to be really exciting stuff. So make sure you get there. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Friday morning, bitcoinconference.com, and buy your tickets. And we'll see. If we sell out like mad really fast, then we'll start a waiting list. And if we have to, we'll move it to a larger venue. I mean, we've got a backup plan. So, if we...
I think you have at least 4 people flying in from Atlanta.
At least 4 people? Okay, there we go. We just sold the first 4. So you got to be there at 10 a.m. on Friday. We won't block you out.
We have our banner ready for the Bitcoin World Conference. We are just waiting for you to announce, so we put up the banner.
Yes. If you formal stuff on Sunday, the 21st, and then we'll have post-conference festivities on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. It's going to be a blast. So later today, actually, within a few hours today, we'll have it all up there on bitcoinconference.com. bitcoinconference.com, all the details. So you want to be sure and register. And we're going to announce, actually, we may as well go ahead and announce that Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. This Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, which is, Friday, July 29, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time is when the actual tickets will go on sale, and you can buy them with Bitcoin. So you've got 3 days to buy some Bitcoins. If you need to buy some and you don't have any Bitcoins, just call us and we'll arrange it. But we want to, of course, we're not taking PayPal. We do not take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, not even Dwolla. We only take Bitcoin.
And it is important to state that the seating is limited.
Yeah, that's right. The seating is limited. We're only reserving 50 spots. So you want to be sure to get there 10 a.m. Eastern time to bitcoinconference.com and buy your admission and also your vendor tables, vendor booth space or table space. Really, it's Manhattan, so it's not a booth. It's a little table. But anyway, it's going to be kind of small space, but it'll be very cozy, and oh my God, it's going to be fun. People are flying from China, from Central South America, Australia. I heard some rumors somebody's chartering a private jet to fly here. It's going to be really, really fun. Amazing. A lot of companies. BX.com. And now, Camp BX is a relatively new exchange site based in the U.S. in Atlanta. And we're kind of doing Bitcoin, Atlanta Bitcoin Week, because we've got a few guests from Atlanta startups on this week. We'll have another one tomorrow, which is interesting, from bit-pay.com, right? bit-pay.com.
Yes.
So
only from BitPay.
Yeah, BitPay, bit-pay, because there's another thing called BitPay. And, well, that's an Android app, but it's not related, I guess. But anyway, bit-pay, I'll say. And but Camp BX, you just launched, right? When was that?
We did. Today is our 3rd week anniversary.
Wow.
Believe it or not, Bruce, when we were preparing for the show, we just crossed 1,000 users threshold.
1,000 users.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Should come on your show more often.
We should what?
We should come on your show more often.
Every day. We do it every day. You're welcome. Absolutely. You can come and just sit down right here. You know, you're actually going to be here because I'll remind a shameless plug for the, as you guys know all about it, the Bitcoin Conference and World Expo NYC 2011 in NYC is coming up August 19, 20, and 21. We're also going to have, if you're coming early, we're going to have a little bit of pre-conference fun on Thursday, August 18. Then the conference will start Friday, August 19th. Saturday is the big day, August 20th. And then half a day pretty much of...
The website.
Yeah, we won't lock you out, I promise. Somehow, we'll get you guys in if we have to bring you in the back door through the catering entrance. We're going to get you in. But it's actually, right now, the venue is only One TV Studios. We have the whole 5th floor at 290 Fifth Avenue, and this is where we're at. So right now, this is the venue. I mean, hotels in Manhattan are crazy and small. Most of the hotels don't have a meeting space, or if they do, they only have a maximum of 16 people or something absurd like that. Mm-hmm. We have some big studios, so we're going to rearrange things and make a few rooms off limits, but we're going to convert conference rooms and our main big studio 1, which you guys don't normally see because this is the smaller one, and we're going to convert it basically into a convention center. We'll see how that works. But if we run into a massive number of people wanting to come, like twice as many as we expect, we will probably have to move it to a larger venue. But we can do that. So just get there, buy your tickets, and if it is sold out, make sure you send us an email. Like if you get blocked out because they were sold out, send us an email at registration at bitcoinme.com.
Is it registration or register?
Register, whatever it is. Go to bitcoinconference.com and the email address will be there. And make sure you send us an email so that you get on a waiting list. And that way we'll have an idea of how many people really want to come. And we're also trying to make the admission very, very affordable. You'll see all the details will be up there soon today.
Register. REGISTER at Bitcoin.